Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod Science classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to discuss current affairs or 2nd February 2022. Actually, today's class it is going to be like an academic class, okay? It will be not like current affairs class because we are going to discuss some highlights of this budget, okay? So first of all, you need to know some constitutional provisions of this budget. So let me know one thing, whether the word budget is present in our constitution or not. If yes, then let me know which article which is talking about. If no means which is a word that can be used as alternative for this budget, and which of the article which is mainly talking about budget in our Indian constitution. So already we discussed this provisions in our earlier lectures, and already we discussed this topic in our Polity Lakshmikant series as well. So if you have watched the art lectures, then you might be knowing that. So what is the alternative word that can be used for this budget, and which article which is talking about this budget in our constitution. And you have to know about this budget session as well. So when this budget session will start and when it is going to be end. Okay, so these are some basics that you need to know regarding this budget. So please give me your answers in your comment box. Don't forget about that. Okay, so now let us try to see the articles that we are going to discuss. So all these articles today we are going to discuss regarding this budget. Even editorials and op-ed page which are mainly regarding this budget itself. And there are some views. Okay, we are going to discuss about the views much rather than articles. So these views are mainly by the experts, and we will be knowing that experts' opinion as well, such that will be authenticated, and you can write those views in the mains answer. Right, so now let's get started with our discussion with the quote. So the quote, it is a motivational quote by Tagore. So quote says that you can't cross the sea merely by standing and starting at the water. Okay, so you can't cross the sea merely by standing and staring at the water. So standing means if you say this is a water, okay, if you say this is a sea here, and if you're standing on the beach. So if you are standing on the beach and if you are staring means looking at this water of the sea, you can't cross this water. So you have to try and you have to take the first step and you need to enter into the water. Then only you can go for crossing of the sea. So mere seeing and mere standing, it will not at all resolve the problem. So this is the quote that is absolutely apt for this UPSC. So if you are keeping all the books for this UPSC like NCERT, some standard books, some optional books before you, and if you are looking at that means you will be not going to complete the syllabus. You have to open the book and you have to start reading and you have to go for multiple revisions. Then only you are going to complete your syllabus, and then only you are going to crack this UPSC civils. Right? So this is the one motivational quote I want to come up with. And now let us try to see the first topic. So next two topics, this topic and the next topic, that I selected from our editorial page. So first topic title says that a takeaway is the good infrastructure push. So actually this article which is mainly talking about some key highlights of the budget, and it mainly says that here physical consolidation, it is not further strengthening in this budget. Okay, so already you know that what is a physical consolidation. Fiscal consolidation means nothing but the policies and as well as some steps which are taken by the government made to decrease the fiscal deficit of the government. Already you know that fiscal deficit had been increased in the last few years due to this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so here whatever the steps that are taken by the government that are not at all further strengthen our fiscal consolidation. So this is one of the important issue which is mainly posed by this author. Right, so now let us try to see what are the things which are mainly given. So author mainly talked about the perspectives of growth in India, and even he made a note on revenues and as well as expenditure, and also he made a note on debt and as well as a fiscal deficit, okay, fiscal balance, and finally he came up with this fiscal consolidation. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So in introduction, author mainly says that he mainly emphasized on our union budget. So this year union budget which mainly focused on this capital expenditure. So what is this capital expenditure? Whenever we want to go for any infrastructure development, for example roadways, railways, etc., and whenever we are going for construction of anything, okay, anything which mainly comes in infrastructure, so that is called as capital expenditure. Okay, so whenever we are going for infrastructure in the country, that means whenever we are going for this development of infrastructure, automatically it will helpful for growth and the development of the country. Okay, it will be creating much employment. So whenever employment is created, so the labor who are working, so they will be getting income in the form of salaries, wages, etc. And if the people, they are having money in their hands, they will be going into the market and they will place demand for the goods and services. So whenever there is increasing of demand for these goods and services, the companies, the factories that are producing those goods and services, they will increase their production, and it will leads to the economic recovery or revival. So this cycle, it is very much important and relevant in this period of this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so here this budget, which is mainly focusing on this capital expenditure, and it is one of the welcome step. Okay, so particularly there is 45.2% of fiscal deficit, which is mainly being devoted to this fiscal capital expenditure in this budget. So whenever we are going for this infrastructure development in the country, automatically that will leads to acceleration of the growth as well. So author mainly having one cause of concern here is, so the programs and the policies that are coming up in this union budget, they are not focusing on this physical consolidation. Okay, so physical consolidation, it need to further strengthen. So this is the one step which is mainly focused by the author. So if we're talking about perspectives of growth, so in this budget, okay, Center 2022 to 2023 budget, which mainly says that nominal GDP growth, okay, nominal GDP growth estimate here is 11.1% in the year 2022 to 23. And if you see on other side, economic survey also provided that real GDP growth, it is like 8 to 8.5 for this year. So here it mainly says that nominal GDP, and here economic survey says that real GDP. So you need to know what is the difference between this nominal GDP and as well as real GDP. So this will be very important concept, and even you can get a direct question regarding the difference between this nominal GDP and real GDP in your prelims as well. Okay, so now let us try to understand what is this nominal GDP and real GDP. So already you know that GDP stands for gross domestic product. So gross domestic product means nothing but the total value, okay, the total value of final goods and services in the country. So total value of final goods and services which are produced within a country and within a period of 1 year, it is called as GDP. So in this GDP, you will be coming across this nominal GDP and as well as real GDP. So nominal GDP at a rate of current prices, that means in that year, so how much amount of the value that is present, so that is called as nominal GDP. And if you are talking about real GDP, it mainly measures the value by using the price with the base year. Okay, so we are comparing the prices of this year with the base year, that is called as a real GDP. And nominal means at current, we are not comparing at all here. We are not comparing with any base year here, that is called as nominal GDP. So if we are talking about one more dimension, that is revenues and expenditure. So according to this 2021-2022, okay, so here if you are talking about revenue and expenditure, so center gross and net, okay, gross and net tax revenues. So gross and net tax revenues are estimated to grow about 21.4% and net revenue here is 23.8% respectively. So let me know what is the difference between the gross and as well as net also. So this is also one important thing. And if you are talking about buoyancy, okay, so the tax buoyancy had been increased, that is 1.4. Okay, so what is this tax buoyancy? So tax buoyancy means nothing but without increase of this tax rate, so whenever there is increasing of this government revenue, that is called as tax buoyancy. So this is a very, very important concept. And even center's gross tax revenues would have grown more realistically by 14.3%. So whenever there is a central gross tax revenues are increasing, means on another side we can say there is increasing of revenue for the government. So whenever there is increasing of revenue for the government, so then it will be having some space especially for raising of this expenditure. raising of this expenditure as well. So that will lead to acceleration, okay, acceleration of expenditure, or we can say like whenever the government which is having increased revenue means on other side we can also connect with this decreasing of fiscal deficit as well, okay. And if you are talking about the total expenditure, so total expenditure of government which mainly grown by 4.6 percentage, okay, 4.6 percentage, especially in the revenue expenditure which mainly grown by 0.9 percentage, and regarding this capital expenditure it is mainly grown by 24.5 percentage, okay. And next important thing here is now we are mainly shifting our focus towards infrastructure expenditure. So we are mainly focusing for expansion of our infrastructure. For example, I can talk about railways, for example roadways. In roadways we are talking about highways, and even we can talk about one important that is a PM Gati Shakti as well. So here this is one important thing, and even there is expansion of this national infrastructure pipeline also, that also talked in this budget. And this budget, it is not only focusing on this national level creating of this infrastructure, but also budget provides for incentivizing the states to expand their capital expenditure by permitting them the fiscal deficit limit of 4% of the GDP, okay. So now this budget also provides some incentives, especially for the states. Mainly they can go for increasing of their capital expenditure, that means they can go for increasing of spending in infrastructure. And now center mainly allowed or permitted the states can have the fiscal deficit of 4% of this GDP as well. And not only this, center also giving some additional 1 lakh crore had been allocated to states for the capital expenditure in year 2022 to 23, okay. And it is mainly giving 50-year interest free loans, and that will be given for the states from the center. And on another side we can also see there is a revenue expenditure. So there is also reduction in the total subsidies, okay, subsidies to 1.2% of GDP. There is decreasing of subsidies such that we are also decreasing this revenue expenditure. On another side we are increasing this capital expenditure. And even next one is interest payment. So interest payment as a percentage of GDP has gone up from 3.5% in 2021-22 to 3.6%. So whenever we are getting loans, okay, from either states or from outside the country, so we need to pay interest rate on that, right? So now in this year, in 2022 to 23, we are seeing there will be increasing of interest rate, because now already we are facing some financial crisis, and because of this COVID-19 which mainly affected almost all the sectors in the country, and because of this there is increasing of interest rate that we can see. And if you are talking about debt and as well as fiscal balance, so according to the estimates given by the economic survey, so it mainly says that the government debt related to GDP, it is very much close to 90%. Okay, it is like 90% of debt by the end of 2021-2022 and 2022-2023. So the fiscal deficit to GDP ratio, which is mainly going down to 6.9% to 6.4%, and the fiscal deficit to GDP ratio, it is also going down. And the debt to GDP ratio, which is mainly still slated to increase in 2012 to 2020-23. And next one is, if you're talking about how to reduce this fiscal deficit, okay, so here you need to come up with your suggestions regarding how can we reduce this fiscal deficit as well, okay. And finally author says that what are the things which are coming up by this budget is well and good, but the focus on this fiscal consolidation is less. We need to strengthen on this fiscal consolidation, okay. So what is the fiscal consolidation? So it mainly includes some policies which are mainly aimed to decreases government deficit and debt accumulation of the government. So this is called as fiscal consolidation. So this is gist of this topic, and now let us move on to next topic. Title says a bold effort at public investment led model. Actually this article which is also talking about highlights of the budget. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see introduction, author mainly says that actually this union budget which mainly starts with the self-congregatory announcement of Indian domestic product, okay, Indian domestic output. that is GDP. Okay, so our budget mainly starts with a self-congratulatory announcement of this GDP, and our finance minister said that our GDP is likely to grow at 9.2% this year, that is 2021 to 2022 over last year, and it is one of the highest among this world's large economies. And our finance minister mainly said that so our GDP for this financial year 2021 to 2022, it mainly grows by 9.2%, and it is one of the highest among the world's largest economies. Okay, and if you are talking about one important cause of concern here is we are seeing that is India's output contraction when we are comparing with it of previous year, and it is one of the worst if you are comparing with the countries that are present in the world. And if you are talking about and if you are comparing with this pre-pandemic level of 2019 to 20, the current year GDP will be marginally, which is higher by 1.3%. Okay, so when you are comparing with this pre-pandemic year 2019 to 2020, so the current year's GDP will be marginally higher by 1.3%. And if you are talking about source of demand, okay, if you are talking about source of demand, the share of private consumption is decreasing. So why the private consumption is decreasing? So if you talk about this COVID-19 pandemic, which led to disruptions in our economy, and almost all the sectors had been affected due to this COVID-19 pandemic. So because of this, many employers, they lost their job, and they are mainly going for this daily wage and daily wage works. So because of this, that led to decreasing of income of the people. So whenever the income of the people is decreasing, then the private consumption automatically decreases. So how much it decreased? It decreased by 3 percentage points of GDP when we are comparing with the financial year 2020 and as well as 2022. Okay, so mainly to mitigate this decline, so what is the alternative? Alternative here is government need to increase expenditure. Government, whenever it is increasing its expenditure, then the money supply in the market will be increased, and the people will have money in the market, and they will demand the goods and services, and finally that will go for the recovery of our economy and even private consumption as well. So this year budget mainly seeks to boost public investment by 35.4% at current prices over the last year, to raise its share in GDP to 2.9% from 2.2% in the last year. Okay, so budget is also talking about this public investment. So we need to boost this public investment. Actually, there is decreasing of public investment is seen. So here we need to boost this public investment. Okay, and budget also hopes to trigger virtuous investment-led output and economic growth. So whenever there is an increasing of investment in the economy, and whenever we are focusing on these infrastructure projects, finally that will leads to increasing of our employment growth, and it will also leads to crowding in effects. So what is this crowding in? So if you are going through the economy books, you will be coming up with this crowding out and as well as crowding in effects. So crowding in effects is nothing but whenever there is increasing of government expenditure. So whenever government expenditure is increasing, means that will mainly encourages the firms to invest due to the presence of more profitable investment opportunities. Okay, so what happens whenever there is increasing of this government spending, that will lead to increasing of this economic growth. So whenever economic growth is increasing, that means therefore it is mainly encouraging investments. Okay, encouraging investments, and it will be also creating more profitable investment opportunities as well. Okay, so finally that will also help to reduce this fiscal deficit of government. So if you are talking about employment crises, now our economy, which is mainly having one challenge here, is unemployment. So here budget does not directly addressing anything regarding this employment crisis. Okay, employment crisis can be called for would call for enhanced allocation for this MG-Narega, and even initiating some similar scheme for meeting the urban unemployment. So if we're talking about unemployment, we are having unemployment in both the rural areas and as well as urban areas. In rural areas, we have this MG-Narega scheme, but in urban areas, we do not have a scheme like this MG-Narega. So because of this, here we need to go for initiating of the similar schemes for the meeting of this urban unemployment as well, such that we can address this challenge of this unemployment. So this is one important dimension. And next one is industrial slowdown. So the manufacturing sector share in GDP has been stagnantly. It is around 15% of GDP. So if we're talking about manufacturing sector share in our GDP which has been stagnating, and it is around 15% of a GDP. And the annual industrial growth rate has sharply slowed down. Okay, so if you're talking about industrial growth, that had been slowly sharp down from 13.1% in 2015-16 to minus 7.2 in this 2021. So why? Because of this COVID-19 pandemic. And next one is there is also lack of demand for the goods and services. So it is one of the real problems that mainly faced. So because of this lack of goods and services, there is low capacity utilization as well. Okay. And next one is we need to finally appreciate India's economy, because we have become an imported dependent economy, especially on China. So if we're talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, we came with a number of steps for the giving of impetus for the vocals for locals, and even we are focusing on this domestic production of the goods. Okay, even though these all steps were taken by the government, we can see India's imports are increasing. That means we are importing more amount of the goods from the other countries. So if you're talking about trade deficit with the China, so trade deficit with the China, which is mainly gone up to $64.5 million in 2021 itself. So in this way, there is some cause of concern regarding the production of the goods, and especially made in India goods. So if we're talking about Premature Pli scheme, that is production linked incentive scheme. So India launched this PLI scheme for a number of sectors, like 14 sectors. For example, technology intensive incentives products, starting with mobile phones, assembly, etc. here. So the budget which mainly mentioned about overwhelming response of this to the scheme here. And if you're talking about evidence of these projects which have been taken off their investment, and even employee generation, and also rise in domestic content is such individual units, it is 2 spades. Okay, so if you're talking about investments and as well as employment generation, especially in the domestic content, so there is increasing. Okay, there is increasing of unemployment that is mainly seen. And what are the schemes are launched, like for example Make in India scheme or Make in India initiative that came up in 2014-15 to raise this manufacturing sector share. Now it is mainly trying to provide some jobs. Okay. And next one is if you're talking about improving its rank in this ease of doing business. So in 2014 the rank was 142, and now in 2020 so it was like 63 rank. So in this way, here we are improving the rank such that we can attract more investments. Okay, and one important problem that we are facing is widening of this unemployment crisis. Unemployment crisis is mainly increasing in India. Okay, and the share of private consumption in GDP, and as well as rising economic inequality. So this is the one thing which mainly seen. And if you're talking about one more thing, so instead of this budget pins its hope on investment to boost employment and as a derived demand for labor. So first we need to focus on this employment crisis. Okay, so first we need to focus on employment crisis, and we need to focus on this labor as well as private consumption later. So this is just of this topic, and now let us try to see next topic. Title says medium wave. So this article is talking about key highlights of the budget, and if you see the context, our finance minister presenting her 4th budget. So this is the 4th budget of this finance minister, and this is second one in the pandemic hit economy, and it is also second time it is a digital budget. It is not a paper budget, it is a paperless budget for the second time. So if you see the details, it mainly says that, so this is the first time we have a broad script. Okay, so we have a broad script largely stuck to the broad script from last year. So we are scaling up the wager on public capital spending to revive private investments. So first one here is they are focusing on this public capital spending. So whenever the capital spending or infrastructure development is happening, so there will be many companies, they will be come forward to invest in India. So whenever the industries which are investing means that will lead to job creation. So this is one of the virtual cycle. So this is one important thing which mainly kept in the mind of the fiscal health of the country. And if you see this budget, which mainly presented in the 75th year of independence, and it is one of the stage for Amrit Kal. Amrit Kal means nothing but the time for the time of the nectar, and over next 25 years, it is mainly culminating in the vision for India in 2047. So this is the thing which mainly said by our Prime Minister during his Independence Day speech in the last year. So in the last year, Prime Minister said that, so this is a stage for this Amrit Kal, that means time of nectar. Okay, and it will be helpful for over next 25 years. And if you're talking about this budget, the beginning with the 90-minute speech, and in this speech, our finance minister mainly showed expression of empathy. So empathy means nothing but understanding the one's problems. Okay, understanding, if anyone who is coming to you, and if anyone who is expressing their problems, you will be understand the problems of that person. So this is one of the kind of empathy. So this empathy will be also coming across in your GS paper 4 as well. So what happened? So in this first 90-minute speech of our finance minister, she mainly showed some expression of empathy for Indians who mainly grabbed in health and as well as economic impact because of this COVID-19 pandemic. And in this context, she also quote one phrase, okay, that is, the king must make arrangements for this yoga kshema. So king must make arrangements for yoga kshema, that is welfare of the people, by abandoning any laxity and by governing in the line with dharma, along with the collecting of taxes which are in consonance with the dharma. So this is the one quote which is the one phrase which mainly used by our finance minister. And our finance minister also pointed out that government has not raised the taxes in this COVID-19 affected budget, but government mainly stressed that there are several proposals that need to be come up regarding helping of farmers, helping startups, and as well as micro, small, medium enterprises, and even they focused on affordable housing projects. Okay, so this will be finally and ultimately benefits middle class people. And this budget is mainly estimating that rupees 4.5 lakh crore emergency credit line guarantee scheme to 5 lakh crore, and it will be extended by 2023 March. So the first one is extension of this scheme, that is emergency credit line guarantee scheme. And if you're talking about this production linked incentive scheme, it is mainly given for the 14 sectors. Okay, and whenever we are giving some boost here, so that will be helpful for generating of 60 lakh new jobs in the coming up 5 years. And this budget is also having a fresh push made on even creating livable cities. It's also mainly focusing on this livable cities, and it's also focusing on a better planning framework in the urban areas as well. And next one is, it is also focusing on existing border area developmental programs as well. So whenever the government is mainly focusing on these border areas and as well as developmental programs, that will be helpful especially for better digital connectivity to the villages with the sparse populations on this northern border. And our finance minister said that greater capital spending, that is infrastructure spending, which is a very much required especially for the recovery of our economy. Okay, and one more important thing which mainly discussed in this budget is privatization of this LIC, that is Life Insurance Corporation of India also. So this is a gist of this topic. And now let us try to see the view of this person who is a managing director of this HDFC Limited. So now let us try to understand the views. So this will be very important because these were the experts. Okay, so experts' opinion is very, very important to write an authenticated answer here. So if you are talking about context, it mainly says that our Honorable Finance Minister presented balanced as well as growth-oriented budget, and this budget mainly made some strong emphasis on long-term growth, and also it avoided the announcement of election-related populist measures. So this author mainly says that what are the budget which is presented by our finance minister, and this budget is a balanced and a growth oriented budget. So you can get some keywords here, that is a growth oriented, that this budget which is mainly focusing on the growth, and also this budget which mainly made long term growth emphasis, and this budget was also went for avoidance of election related populist measures. And if you're talking about details, So actually author mainly says that this budget, which is mainly based on the 4 pillars. So first one is productivity, second one is climate action, third one is financing investments, and fourth one is PM Gati Shakti plan. So these were the 4 pillars of this year budget. So these are very much important for our economic revival against the backdrop of uncertainty due to this COVID-19 infections. Okay, so if you're talking about fiscal deficit, so fiscal deficit, which is mainly higher at 6.9% for this 2021-2022. Okay, and if you're talking about 2022 to 2023, so fiscal deficit will be like 6.4%. And they are also focusing on capital expenditure, that is expenditure means we can see like increase in the spending regarding infrastructure. So in this way, author says that government has chosen to be pro growth and has highly rightly refrained from undertaking aggressive fiscal consolidation. So they are not going for this fiscal consolidation, that is aggressive things, but they are mainly focusing on pro growth. So this is very important for the early stages of economic recovery. So if we are talking about this disinvestment target, so they have the target for disinvestment of rupees 65,000 crores. Actually this target is one of the conservative. Okay, but recently already we know that Air India had been disinvested. So if you're talking about tax collections, so there is a tax buoyancy that is mainly seen. So this tax buoyancy will be helpful to reduce this fiscal deficit, that is fiscal consolidation, and even it will be helpful to improve this tax to GDP ratio. So if you're talking about this tax buoyancy, which mainly explains the relationship between the changes in the government's tax revenue growth and as well as changes in the GDP. Okay, so it will be helpful for government tax revenue growth and as well as changes in the GDP. And it mainly even refers to the responsiveness of tax revenue growth to the changes in the GDP as well. So if I talk about some more important things which are mainly highlighted by this budget is, so our government is also focused on this housing for all. Our finance minister announced that about rupees 80 lakh homes will be built by this 2023 under this Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So not only this, even though our budget which mainly allocated rupees 48,000 crores under this Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, that is urban and as well as rural schemes for building of these homes. And even they are mainly focusing on the startups as well, and also focusing on this Made in India initiative as well, such that whenever we are going for focusing on startups and Made in India initiative, so that will be helpful to decrease our dependency on other countries. So because of this, we can also save our forex reserves as well. And even this budget, which is mainly focusing to encourage the startup ecosystem in the country, right? And next one is use of drones to push excellence. So here the drones, they are also called as unmanned aerial vehicles. So they are very important in this present times. And at present times, many countries are using even for the war purpose as well. So the use of drones for the startups will push for the excellence here. And we can go for promotion of this fintech and as well as technology based development. So in this way here, that will be helpful for the faster recovery pace of our economy. And if you're talking about MSME, that is micro, medium and small enterprises, they mainly continue to be the backbone of our economic growth. Okay, so because of this, so whenever we are going for this MSME companies, whenever we are giving the boost for this MSME companies, they will be helpful for the local manufacturing, and they will be also promoting the self-reliance as well. Okay, and next one is, this will be like a long way in supporting this MSME sector, and we can go for revival of this industrial activities as well. Okay, and next one is, this budget also focused on this digital economy. Okay, it mainly introduces central bank digital currency in 2022 to 2023. Okay, and whenever there is introduction of this digital rupee in our economy, that will be giving the major boost to digital economy and as well as currency and as well as management. So this is just of this topic, and now let us try to see next topic. Title says Foundation for this Digital India 2.0. So actually this article is very important from your economy point of view. So this is also an important highlights of our budget. So if you see context, it mainly says that the finance minister mainly presents the budget for a country that brings spot in otherwise dark horizon. Okay, so this article which is mainly talking about introduction of budget, right? So he mainly says that 9.2% of India's fastest growing large economy with over $630 billions of foreign exchange reserves, which is equaling 13 months of imports. Okay, so here we are mainly having some estimates like we are going to have a fastest economic recovery, and there are many GDP estimates as well. So if we're talking about inflation, okay, inflation, it is under the control and as well as stock markets, corporate results mainly shining positively, and even the vaccination has been successful with 93% of people they already got their second dose, and 70% of people they already fully vaccinated. So because of this, here this market will be giving you the good opportunities. So if you're talking about our finance minister, she mainly focused on this unemployment rate. Officially unemployment rate here is 7.2%, but in reality, so it is a far worse. Okay, it is possibly the single greatest challenge that she must address through her budget. Okay, so actually, so this is the one important thing which mainly need to be addressed by the finance minister. So this is the one thing which mainly left. And if you're talking about infrastructure which has triple effect, so what is that effect? So whenever we are going for this development of infrastructure, so first one is it will be creating employment. It will be reviving our core sectors. So we are having 8 core sectors, and the mnemonic here is funds, 3C, fertilizer, electricity, refineries, natural gas, steel, coal, crude oil and cement. So these are the 8 core sectors. So in these core sectors we can see some revival. And finally, it will be helpful for the productivity of our economy. So whenever there is increasing of financial assistance to the states for the capital investments, then this will be very important for the revival. So apart from that, this budget is also focusing on this PM Gati Shakti. Okay, PM Gati Shakti, which mainly the one of the initiative, which is to focus on logistics through the development of roads, railways and as well as airports, and will be also ensuring the efficient movement of goods. Okay, and we can use 100 multimodal cargo terminals, and that will be very much helpful for the faster transportation as well. And even in this budget, which also focused on this digital India as well. Okay, and also it mainly focused on taxable asset class and as well as issuing of digital currency and e-passports, digital university, and as well as council for gaming animation sector. And it also focused on digital banking, land record digitalization, facilitation of payment platforms, etc. here. And not only this, even our budget which mainly focused on even urban planning and as well as development. So now we need to understand where this budget is missing. So what are the things which are missed in our budget? So first one is healthcare. So healthcare was expected to get a greater share of allocation, but the allocation is very much less. And next one is privatization. So the big initiative in the last budget along with asset monetization is privatization. Okay, and we need to come this track on the this to be come on back on track. And next one is there is also a little mention regarding the light touch regarding the regulation of artificial intelligence, green energy and as well as green mobility. And these are very important, especially for the acceleration or for the giving of some boost for this sunrise sectors as well. So this is the gist of the topic, and let me know what is the meaning of this sunrise sector in the comment box. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding making India future ready. So this article, it is mainly by the managing director of this Apollo hospitals, and it is also regarding our budget. So if you are talking about the context, it mainly says that our journey to this $5 trillion economy, our journey to a $5 trillion economy by 2024 to 2025, and the vision which is mainly laid down in this pre-COVID-19 budget in 2019. So this budget had been rudely interrupted because of this global pandemic COVID-19. So if we're talking about details, if you're comparing the two budgets since 2020 and 2021, which mainly focused on addressing of health emergency, okay, because of this COVID-19, and it is mainly focusing on the minimum effect or minimum impact on our economy. So those efforts mainly brought up some results, okay, with the nation which is dealing with this Omicron wave as well. And the GDP forecast of this 2020-2021 and 2022-2023 have indicated that India still be the fastest growing country in the world. So because of this growth estimates, we can say India it is one of the fastest growing nations in the world. And if you're talking on another side about this macroeconomic indicators, for example, revenue receipts and as well as capital expenditure, merchandise imports, exports, etc. here. So these are some macroeconomic indicators of whether we are having a positive growth or not. So if you're talking about our Union Budget 2022, which also had signaled that mere recovery it is not enough. Okay, but we need to focus on India's aspiration. India is hungry for growth, and as well as we need to focus on this quantum leap as well. So that ambition is a quite formidable. So whatever the ambition that we are getting, that is a quite formidable, and extent to which infrastructure and logistic aspects were addressed. For example, water, agriculture they were focused on. Manufacturing was accelerated in this. Okay, and even this MSME, sunrise sectors they were identified, and they will be giving some support. Okay, and next one is from the past 2 years we had a spotlight on healthcare sector because of we identify the what are the loopholes in our healthcare infrastructure that raised by this COVID-19 pandemic. So in fact we have vaccinated over 1.5 billion people, and now it can get this shield against any future risk. And if you are talking about this budget, it is also like a true long way to go in building of this health resilience as well. And this budget which is also talked about this National Digital Health Mission, so it will enable universal access for all, and it will be also going to revolutionize our health delivery sector. Okay, so this is gist of this topic, and now let us try to see next topic. So this topic it is by President of CII. Okay, so now let us try to see this topic. So title says a growth oriented pragmatic budget. Okay, growth oriented pragmatic budget. Pragmatic means nothing but practical. So if you're talking about context, it mainly says that the sustained focus on this year union budget on supporting the growth while also targeting all inclusive welfare through the variety of schemes is a welcome step. So author says that whatever the budget which is mainly came up by our finance minister, so that budget it is a fair and well, and it is also a welcome step. So if we are talking about details, it mainly says that it comes at a time when the pandemic has worsened inequality not only in the country but also across the globe. So due to this COVID-19 pandemic, we saw there is increasing of inequality. So even in the recent lectures, we already studied about this Oxfam report of this inequality as well. So the strategy which mainly led by the budget, it is to spend on infrastructure projects, and finally we need to create the jobs, and as well as we need to enhance the demand in the market. So for enhancing the productivity and investment, and even government is mainly focusing on this public capital expenditure and also the PM Gati Shakti scheme here. So if you're talking about this in this infographic, which is mainly talking about connecting pillars of India, so it is about this PM Gati Shakti. So you can refer this infographic in the PDF. Okay, and next one is, so this article says that there is increasing of this capital expenditure of 35%. Okay, it is like rupees 7.5 lakh crore during this financial year 2022 to 2023. And if you see this budget session, which is mainly reform oriented approach. Okay, so this is a budget's reform oriented approach of improving this business environment by introducing this ease of doing business 2.0. Okay, so this budget which mainly reform oriented approach, which is mainly focusing on improving this business environment as well. So whenever there is a ease of doing business which is mainly improving, means that indirectly says that there is increasing of trust based governance, and will be also focusing on digitalizing of the manual process as well. So in this way we can unlock the what is the potential that is present in these industries, right? And the budget which also focused on inclusivity by targeting the bottom of the pyramid through welfare schemes. So this budget is also focusing on this welfare schemes. For example, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which is mainly focusing on this providing of houses. And also we came with the new schemes in this budget like PM Divine and next one is aspirational blocks and vibrant village programs, etc. here. And the government initiatives for this agriculture sector, especially the announcement of assumed income amounting to rupees 2.37 lakh crore on account of this direct payments for this MSPs as well. So if we're talking about some important and priority areas of the budget, they mainly includes this PM Gati Shakti, inclusive development. It is mainly focusing on the sunrise industries, energy, climate change, financing of investments, etc. So this is just of this topic. And till now we completed editorials and as well as some viewpoints. So now let us try to see some other articles which are important. The title says MG Narega's allocation cut by 25% to 73,000 crore. So this article says about this MG Narega scheme. Already you know that due to this COVID-19 pandemic, there is increase in the demand for this MG Narega, and I think from last 5 months we are discussing that there is decreasing of allocation, and this scheme which is mainly facing financial crunch in many states. So here in this budget, the center's rupees 73,000 crore allocation for this Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Okay, so the center allocation here is 73,000 crore. But if you say in 2022 to 2023, it is like 25% lower when we are comparing with that of revised estimates. So when you are comparing with the revised estimates, it was like 98,000 crore, but now it decreased to 73,000 crore. So why? Because the many people, especially during this nationwide lockdown, so migrant people, they mainly migrated from the urban areas towards rural areas, and there is increase in the demand for this MG Narega. But now what happened, because of increasing of vaccination and because of relaxation of this COVID-19 protocol, so everything, there is increasing of migration again. So because of this, there is decreasing of this allocation of this MG Narega mainly seen, and you can refer this article for further details. And this one is emergency credit line for this MSME extended till March 2023. So actually in this union budget, which mainly announced several measures, especially for this MSME companies. MSME mainly includes micro, small and as well as medium enterprises. So for those MSMEs, there is one scheme which is mainly focusing, that is Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme, and this scheme which is mainly extended till March 2023. So this is also very important, and you have to refer some facts regarding this Emergency Line Credit Guarantee Scheme. And next topic, it is about defense outlay witnesses marginal increase. So here this article talking about there is increasing of this defense expenditure, and here we are mainly focusing on this domestic manufacturing, and as well as whenever we are focusing on this domestic manufacturing, finally we can decrease our imports. Okay, so this is also an article which is important. And next one, it is about natural farming. Natural farming finds fertile ground. Actually, you are mainly focusing on this zero budget natural farming. Okay, so this is the thing which mainly focused by our prime finance minister even in the budget speech as well. So here we can go for identifying of some areas on the banks of the river Ganga, and we can go for promotion of this agricultural practices. Okay, so this is the thing. And if you're talking about this natural farming, it will be like a chemical free. Okay, it will be like chemical free, and we need to be promoted not only in these areas but also throughout the country. Okay, and here the lands here in this project, so they are going to identify the lands or in 5 kilometers wide corridors along this river Ganga at this first stage. Okay, and government which is mainly aiming to integrate chemical free approach. It is mainly focusing on this chemical free approach into the long term policy, and that will needs agriculture education as well as agriculture curriculum, etc. Okay, and even our prime minister who mainly gave a statement regarding this natural budget national farming method, and this need to be adopted. Okay, this should be adopted as a mass movement across the country, and for this government also providing some support for converting 4 lakh additional hectares of farm land in 8 states to use this method. Okay, so this is about this thing, and you have to know some more facts regarding this natural farming. This is very, very important. And next topic is regarding green bonds. So green bonds target carbon neutrality. So already know that in this COP26 that held recently in the Glasgow, our prime minister came up with a statement like we are going to achieve this carbon neutrality by 2070, right? So in this context, our finance minister also announced the plans to issue sovereign green bonds. Okay, so it will be helpful for achieving of our targets regarding this carbon neutrality. So here you need to understand what is green bonds. Already I explained you different types of bonds in our earlier lectures, so please do revise that. And next topic, it is regarding promotion. Okay, push for promotion of drones through startups. So this budget is mainly focusing or giving the much push for this startups, right? So in this context, they are mainly focusing on the promotion of the drones. Drones have the different applications, right? So because of this, we can go for using of technology, especially in the different sectors like agriculture, industry, manufacturing, and even in any sectors we can use this drones, even for the security purposes as well, right? So in this context, our union budget, which mainly focused on the promotion of the drones through the startups and skilling at the industrial training institutes, that is ITIs. Okay, and they are mainly focusing on promoting on this drone shakti through wide varied applications as well. Okay, and they are also focusing on drone as a service. Okay, so this is some important context and some important details, and you can refer this article. And next topic, it is regarding 16% hike in healthcare sector allocation. So in healthcare sector allocation, there is 16% hike. So the government perceives the pandemic to be the retreat. Okay, so because of this pandemic, we understand that there were several loopholes in our healthcare sector. So because of this, we finally understand that we need to increase our spending in this healthcare sector to make our healthcare sector resilient and to fight against any pandemics. Okay, and even this article talk about Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission as well. And here this article, which is mainly talking about the hike which is seen in this healthcare sector and how it will be useful. So actually this budget highlights and the details of this budget that will be come up separately in a separate lecture by our economic faculty by Sarvan sir. So until then, you can refer these articles and detailed explanation will be given in that lecture, so you can follow that. Okay, that will be posted soon in the YouTube. So these are some important articles that appear in the today's newspaper, and now let us try to see the explanation part for yesterday's questions. So first question is regarding Preamble of Indian Constitution. So which of the following statements is correct with regard to Preamble of the Indian Constitution? So Preamble is source of power to the legislature. Actually, you know that Preamble, it is neither a source of power to the legislature. So it is incorrect statement. It is not the source of power. So you can eliminate the options which is containing option 1. Second one is Preamble, it is a part of Constitution. Yes, we know that Preamble is a part of Constitution. And Preamble cannot be amended. No, Preamble can be amended. So in the famous Keshwananda Bharati case, Supreme Court said that yes, we can amend this Preamble as well. So this is incorrect. So you can delete this third statement. And next one is, it is non-justifiable and it is not enforceable in the court of law. Yes, this statement is correct. So correct option here is 1, 2 and 4. And next question is regarding first schedule of Indian Constitution. So schedules will be very important. So the first schedule of Indian Constitution, which mainly pertains to names of the states, yes. Names of union territories, yes. It is not talking about citizenship and it is not talking about oaths and affirmations. It mainly talked in this schedule 4 of Indian Constitution. So the correct answer here is 1 and 2. 2 is the correct option. And these are the today's questions. So first question is regarding Citizenship Act of 1955. So please try to answer this question. And next question is regarding Article 3 of Indian Constitution. So you can select the correct answer for this question and try to give your answers in the comment box. So before concluding, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. So if you want to clear this UPSC, so I will strongly suggest you to join this prelims test series and as well as mains answer writing course that we are offering in our Rathod's IAS. So in prelims test series, we are giving 30 tests, which includes both CSAT and as well as your GS, and that will be absolutely very useful to gain the knowledge and even to analyze your preparation whether you are in a race or not. And next one is mains answer writing course, and this mains answer writing course, it is a 1-year course. So in this course, we are mainly giving you weekly target. That means entire syllabus of your GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, it is divided within the weeks, which is in the entirely 1 year. So based on that weekly targets, we will be providing you daily one question based on that syllabus, and it will also include the current affairs part. So you have to write answer and you have to send your answer to our email ID, so that there will be evaluation will be done, and we will be also providing you the model answer, such that even if you don't know the answer, you can see that model answer, then you will be getting at least 5 to 6 points from that question. And next one is there will be one-to-one mentorship as well. So why I'm focusing on this mains answer writing? Because mains, it is one of the important deciding factor whether your name will be there in the final list or not. So if you are doing well in the mains, for sure, I will assure you that you will be going to clear this UPSC for sure. Because prelims, it is just qualifying, and interview will be not there in your hands. So only the thing which is present in your hands is mains. So please be focused on this mains. Even though if you are a beginner and if you already gave your attempts, so please try to focus on this mains answer. So mains answer writing skills, it is a deciding factor, and it will make or break the deal, right? So please don't take this course as a choice. Try to join this. It will be absolutely very, very beneficial. So apart from that, we also came up with this foundational course for entire UPSC GS. So and here we are providing like more than 700 hours of video lectures, and that will be very, very useful to clear your concepts. And here we are discussing each and every small topic which is present in your syllabus also we are covering here, right? And if you want to take some individual courses, like if you're weak only in economy, only in history, only in geography, you can also take that individual courses. That option is also available. So the details of this course are given in description box. And if you want to watch any demo videos, so please visit our Rathod's IAS Academy website. There you can watch 3 videos in each and every module without paying a single penny. Okay. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay. And if you want to download the app, the link is given in the description box. You can visit that. So by this, I am concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to Rathod's IAS Academy, and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And don't forget to enroll to these courses, so that will be absolutely beneficial. Thank you so much.